Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Awesomenauts Rumble Gatherers Tournament. My name is Mr. Pillow, and joining me once again is Devon.
Hey, I'm still alive.
Hi, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad you're not deadlift.
Yeah,
That's bad even for your standards.
I don't know. You've seen my deadlift, so you know how that is. Anyways, yeah, that's nice to be back. I saw that last match and what, almost a couple triples? I saw that one triple and that was fantastic.
Indeed, like that. Yeah, I mean, I actually think that was our first triple kill of the day. So, that was very significant and awesome to see. We're about to see if there's going to be any more triple kills in our next match, though. It is Xipang Disciples versus what's their name? I have it right in front of me. Cute men.
Yes, not ugly men, not cute women, but cute men.
Indeed, indeed, and I want to remind everyone we are doing our bet system. Type of you think is going to win into the chat, either a red or blue. It's very informal. There's no special command for anything. And if you guess correctly, you're going to be eligible for a giveaway after the match. You have until the match begins to get your guesses in. With that said, Devon, why don't you take us through this draft and tell us your thoughts?
Sure. So we have Aguilion as the base map again. We just saw that map, so if anybody does not remember, Stealth Orbs, Leon's home, etc. Home of the giant porcupine that wrestled the sun. Anyways, in terms of bans, the first ban goes off to Xipang Disciples, who ban out X, which is a very unfitting ban. I mean, for the name at least, because you'd think that the Xipang Disciples would be very monk-like, like X would be, but they banned him out anyways. For Team Cute Man, they don't want to deal with Sentry. Sentry's been around a lot. He's been doing a lot of work, and that's completely fair. In terms of early picks, we have Xipang Disciples picking up Vinny and Spike as well as Leon. And Cute Men are going to grab Genji and Penny. These are all devastating nuts, and I think we've had enough action with the previous games to know what they can do. The last bans are going to be Jimmy in the Luck Spot and Deadlift. Two bulky characters who are very good at taking damage as well as doing some damage in retaliation. Then for the final picks, I'm going to leave Xipang Disciples for a second, you can see it. But Cute Man's going to pick up Ted McPain, which is excellent because Airstrike can pierce the map and does very well in the narrow and tight corridors. But Durple on Aguilion, which actually makes a lot of sense when you can snare trap all the jump pads and just kind of control so much map area, and use Siege to fall through the jump pads as well.
Indeed, indeed, and I think it's going to be just a flippin' awesome match. That's that we're about to see. I think the Durple was a very nice surprise pick, and surprisingly, the first time that we've actually seen Durple all day. I think that's going to be a very nice pick, especially versus the Penny. She's pretty much forced her hand to get both gun and range on the pulse. Genji's pretty good versus that, but the thing is the Durple can do a lot of zoning here, and I think versus Ted that everyone can kind of be like, oh, Airstrike, versus counters the Durple, but it forces him to stay far away and only go for the Airstrike. If he tries to go in, he has to do it with his team. It's going to be very difficult for him to try and solo, because the Durple can kind of, tank a little bit of the DPS, and then just, place his snares. If he's smart about the snares, it can be very difficult for the Ted to go and brawl like he wants to, because a lot of Teds like to go in the team fight, they like to get the perfect stun, but, doing the fact that you have all this silence that's coming out, that's what we get. And I think Finny and Leon is kind of the classical counter towards the Genji, and if they can, and it's also pretty good against the Penny. The Penny can bounce in, but if Penny versus Leon and Vinny kind of has to do with who goes first. And considering that the Genji is kind of playing more counter initiation here, they don't necessarily want to be going first, because even if the Genji properly counter initiates, so the Penny's blowing all their cooldowns, that's not the best scenario. That said, both teams have damage for days, a little bit more damage on the blue team, and a bit more Ample's access to just getting damage in. So for that reason, I have to give this match to Cute Men. If you had to place your money on it, who would you be betting on, Devon?
I actually always like the Xipang Disciples. I mean, Genji has proven his worth late game wise, and I think he's going to be incredibly effective against what they want to do. But honestly, I think with the amount of Vinny I've been playing recently, I think there's enough burst damage to really counteract Ted and Penny if they're very careful about how they go about things. So we'll just have to see how that goes.
Alrighty, I completely agree. And with that said, I am at the 12-second mark. Would you like to give us a countdown, my friend?
Sure. So 3, 2, 1, and go.
And we're off on the blue side. You got Nikki playing the Ted. You have Dave W playing the Genji, and Ubi playing the Penny. And on the red side of things, you got Bull the Hunter playing the Derp. I'll never stop doing that. Mr. Manager playing the Leon the Chameleon, and we have Paulo playing the Vinny. And immediately we're going to see a pretty nice dunk come out. Not the best follow-up. We're going to see Apollo go in with a spike dive. We're going to get the silence out. Look at the builds. We got Regen, we got Range, we got Silence out on the red team. You got Regen out on the Penny. You got Range and Sage of Prayer Beads out on the Genji. And you have Stun Pack coming out on the Ted. I think these builds are lots of utility, a little bit of damage out on the Genji. Why do you see everyone kind of going for the safe stuff here? Is there no not here that's kind of not willing to just kind of go in your opinion?
Well, Derpel needs the regen to sustain himself because that's his only form of sustain, and he doesn't have any form of heals. Leon's tongue into trap really is what I'm expecting for a lot of these initiations, pulling people into positions where they don't want to be, and pulling them into snare traps will basically guarantee kills. And silence dives are just really good at keeping away cocoons and airstrikes, which might harm his team. On the other side, Penny's regen is very safe, very basic, and allows her to do what she needs to do, and is flexible. I usually pick it up myself. It allows you to sustain mid and get as much farm as possible. Genji going prayer beads as well as the wool shell for extra range. Not a bad choice. It's actually fairly common on Genjis from what I've seen nowadays. It's easier to just take advantage of his auto attack, go for the pokes, and just try to win the fights by whittling them down. And Ted's stun pack, that's basically a pickup always. It allows you to counter initiate and allows you to lock people into airstrike. Although, it might not help him here as the nuke comes out, as he drops into a snare trap and decimates him. Body Hunter is going to get bodied by Penny, and Penny's going to get, in turn, killed off by Leon. Mr. Manager is looking for a promotion and might get one.
Oh!
With the second kill at DW of the tongue, basically through the barrier.
That was awesome. That was... So our first blood is one where it's a 3 for 2 and only the Leon is less alive. He's just trying to get the droids to start walking out of the lanes. He's not going to have that much chance to push. I think he's going to go out and clear that really fast. Leon manages to leave a clone at the turret and take a bar. But that was... Jeez, that was like, what a way to start out the match. You know what I'm saying? This is two high caliber teams, and they just... if anyone had any doubts, they just gave everyone a reminder that they were.
I'd just like to remind everyone, if you are fighting Derpel, one of the best things you can do is use your ears. If you hear snare traps, be careful, because they might be hiding in those stealth bushes. And that's something that these two teams should be both considering. Especially Blue Team, who might be able to take advantage of that little tidbit and protect themselves from the snare traps inside the stealth bushes.
Indeed, I completely agree there. And we're going to see the airstrike coming out on the droids there. And Genji going in, he not necessarily using Cocoon. I think he kind of wanted to, but he also really didn't want to choke on it at all. It's kind of what I thought was going on there. Because if they keep on a Cocoon there, they could have definitely gone in and probably found a frag, even though the counter initiation might have been a bit too dangerous. So it could go either way. He was just going to go in for low risk, low reward instead of high risk, high reward there. And we're going to see a little bit of footsie knots coming out. We have even levels, 1 kill in favor of the red team here. We see silence coming out on the grid traps here. And Leon should be getting silence when he goes back, I believe. That's going to be triple silence on the red team, which is not going to be good for the very ability-centric blue team. And we see Ted just coming out on Ted. He's going to be... I just realized that Ted, his name is in it. Yeah. I don't even know if that's intentional. Holy crap. Wow.
It is, because it's supposed to be Tetris, but a TED-themed flavor version.
Oh my god, my mind is shattered into pieces. I'm about to see some groans from the chat and some are you serious, Spillos? You're dumb. I'm just waiting for it. I'm excited. That said,
Anyways,
I'm excited for the next frag. How do you think the next frag is going to go down, Devlon?
To be honest, I'm very curious. It might be a while, to be honest, with how the teams are going to play. They like to play defensively. Oh, look at Body Hunter play aggressively. Get behind them, use the siege to drop in behind. Penny's pinched in the situation. Dave W is low. Ubi's barely going to get taken out. Derpel's going to go down to the hectic battle in the bush with Ted. And that leaves the red team at 2 versus 1. I thought they were going to spend a little bit more time playing footsies, to be honest, given the risk that they basically put out to the blue team, especially with Leon's range tongue into basically the silence traps.
Indeed. And Leon just be clearing that up now. Even though it was a 1 for 2, we're not really seeing that much push come out as a result. And in fact, we see the droids predominantly being pushed down towards the red team's turrets. And we're going to see them go in. We're going to see Spike Dive onto Dave W. And we're going to see the Cloud come out. There's not going to be a Cocoon counter initiation due to the silence. Now, we're going to see a little bit of Footsie Nuts restored. Dave W. going to go heal that health off in his jungle, consume his health resources. Leon going to go back, pick up Sage of Back strategy. He's going to pick up the Morningstar damage. The Not's only one, but that is cheaper and more cost effective, and as well as some regen. Do you think that Leon should have silence now, or is the build into damage and sustain what he should be doing?
Honestly, if I could guess, I think Mr. Manager is actually going to go full tongue damage with range, and the reason for that is just because he has the utility of tonguing people into the the silence traps anyways. Leon, you basically rely on Vinny and Spike in this ranged AoE silence dive to basically make the plays there. And I think damage tongue to basically kill them as fast as possible once the silence applies might be the best choice in this situation.
Indeed, indeed. And you have Penny Invisible here, which that's a very scary thing. I mean, it's easy to say that, and it's out anyways, but that threat of getting pounced into a really bad scenario, because Red Team is very centric on being together. The thing is, if a team fight happens away from Durple kind of has to have a little bit of luck in order for it to be one that he can cleanly enter into. Because at most, the Durple going in is like this, without the real setup, he just kind of has to go in and nuke, and he gets taken out as a result. And Master Manager is on the other side of the map, going to be taken out by Nikki. Even though Paulo did manage to find out and take out Nikki as a punishment for taking out Manager. Still 1 for 2. He's going to get Cocoon here. That's not a good scenario. And here comes Ubi. There's the Pulse. He does not have silence though, so Paulo is going to pop his abilities and get out to safety. And he is got a good build going on here. He's got silence. He's got goldfish damage. Now he's got the sustain on his Cloud. He's getting nice even out. He's got CC. He's got sustain. He's got damage. He's got the things that he needs in order to do the many things that he wants to do. We see range on the Pulse coming out from Penny relatively, I would say relatively early, but it's relatively early for most Pennies, but it's actually kind of standard for Ubi, so I don't think it's a response to the Durple like I mentioned earlier. That said, that is regardless going to make sure he hits that Durple without getting too close for comfort. It's going to let him, get the pulse damage in without having to worry so much about getting tongued into a trap, which is going to be very significant. We're going to see the tongue come out here, we're going to see the Spike Dive, we're going to see the Cloud, but there's going to be the Monarch Blessing, and that's going to be keeping the blue team relatively healthy as the attacks, the red team start to do less damage. We see Penny going in with a pounce there. Not much is going to happen. They're going to continue their push. There's going to be a very nice Spike Dive. Genji just barely living. Did he have the goldfish damage? He did. Okay, but they managed to find, while I'm checking that, Manager goes ahead and assassinates Nikki, being the little sneaky beaver that he is, or sneaky chameleon, I should say. There's a tongue in a trap, so there's going to be a nuke, and that was just played perfectly. Actually managed to get him behind Body Hunter, and I think that was one of the reasons that UB kind of really didn't see that coming. That's going to be 2 for nothing in favor of the red team, and they're getting their first real push of the game. They do have to watch their health bars here. Leon is keeping Dave W premium in lane rotating. They are actually going to manage to get that half. There's going to be the airstrike and the stun back. It's going to be a whiff, and they got snares just completely zoning them off of that lane rotation there. That is going to be really good. We might see a little bit of snowball coming on the red team now. They have a full level advantage. They have more solar. They have 3 kills ahead. If we see that silence come out, I think, then Leon and Vinny can do a lot of pressure on that Genji, because if they tongue him, then the Vinny goes in with that silence, and it keeps the blessing or the cocoon from ever getting popped. It's getting close to where it can just be a free kill, and if he gets that silence in on the Ted and the Penny also, especially the Ted, and that takes out the pulse and the stun pack is the big thing I'm looking at out of the equation, then that's just almost a free frag. And now Paulo's in Biz, and if Manager gets in Biz, they can just literally storm rush someone. And I think that's what they're going to do, except the blue team knows it, so they're staying out behind the turret. He does manage to silence the Penny with the Spike Dive. That's also poking down the turret. And now they're going to come back in. The Monarch Blessing is about off cooldown. Nikki's going to be tanking the snares while there's no one there to follow up. There's going to be a pulse onto them. So you have both Paulo and Body Hunter. There's the nuke just to clear out and prevent the push. There's going to be the airstrike. It's going to zone Body Hunter a little bit back, though it's not going to connect. Tongue on to Nikki. He's going to stun pack. And it's a very clean you do X, I do Y type of response. And now we're going to just kind of see the Footsie Nuts happen, the fishing with the airstrikes. Dave W storming down that lane, using that threat of the cocoon to push them back. Is the threat of that more than anything is what causes them, but he's going to take the nuke and kind of jumps into it more or less. The Monarch Blessing is going to be keeping him nice and chunky. And there's that tongue into the spike dive, and Nikki, and he's taking a lot of damage. He's going to use the stump back. He's going to manage to quickly clear out the top lane while the red team is a little bit behind on their lane rotation because they use those abilities. Devmon, how do you think the next frag is going to go down, my friend?
Well, again, it's hard to say. These teams are, they can play the kills quite aggressively. I think the blue team's going to be wary of the traps, and they're going to avoid the traps as much as possible. At the moment, I think Cocoon might be the biggest factor. And in terms of everything else going on, there's an upgrade I don't see very often, actually. On Genji, we have the Crimson calendar being picked up. That's cooldown for Monarch Blessing, which is, like I said, I barely see it. It's an upgrade that doesn't usually get picked up because you usually just pop Blessing for one fight and that's it. But seems to use some Dave W, seems some interesting strategies coming out. I wonder how that's going to play out.
I've always thought that upgrade was underrated. I think it pairs really well, especially against something like with Hill Blessing. Like, it actually works out better than you would think. And just the fact of, it's about that pressure, and that's the pressure game that Genji's been playing so far. Well, he'll walk towards the red team, and the red team backs up because of that threat of the cocoon. Even though Genji ends up doing nothing, he still takes mid like that. The fact that he's now got the cooldown on the Blessing, he's being able to exert that much more pressure, make it that much more harder for red team to find the fights that they want to go in on. And especially, you know, with Leon and Vinny kind of playing a game where they go in post-team fight to clean up a little bit, that's something that that is going to make it that much harder. That said, I don't know if I think it's synergized with Spiritual Cooking. I mean, Spiritual Cooking gets a gain of 0 from Crimson, more or less. There's going to be the nuke right there, though. Body Hunter going to be taken down. He doesn't even get to detonate the nuke. That's so unfortunate. There's going to be the pulse there. And Manager going to take a lot of damage. But now Yumi's in a bad spot. Maybe overcommitted. The spike dive can assassinate him. Apollo's not going to do it in time, though. The threat of Nikki then gets in between them, and he's not going to find it. And now the push is going to come off the top turret. They should be able to take this. They have the Monarch bus in there. He's a spike dive in, but nothing's going to have Apollo taking a lot of damage. He's going to have to float on down. And now that's going to be the first turret of the game in favor of Cute Man. Nikki gonna pick up a stealth orb here. He's just gonna burn it though, clear out these droids. And then Dave W gonna pick up that health, and they are good to go. They are ready for the fight. They're ready for the lane rotations. Dave W over in the jungle, find a little bit of poke, and they're gonna have to be very careful now. Now we have some footsie knots on the opposite sides. That kind of grid trap marking the halfway point between each of them, and that neither team willing to cross that moment. There's gonna be the airstrike that hits both Apollo and Body Hunter. And there's going to be a slight stump back. They do have to take care of the Super Droid. Ubi and Dave and Nikki are doing their best to defend it. There's going to be a Blessing pop, but ultimately even the droids are going to take it out. We're going to see a tongue right here, almost into the grid trap, but just not quite right. Dave W taking a lot of damage. There's going to be a D-Siege nuke. Nikki going in very hard here and just completely securing that jungle in favor of his team. And now there's going to be a tongue there, and there's going to be a spike dive. Nikki taking a lot of damage. The blue team cavalry has arrived, though. The red team not going to be able to chase this. It's starting to, the aggressiveness of the blue team is really messing with the positioning of the red team. So they can't get the room, the breathing room that they need to make their comp happen. They can't find these ganks, they can't find the tongues of the traps, they can't find the tongues of the spike dives, and they're doing a really good, the blue team is doing a really good job of being aggressive enough to where the comp of the red team can't function right now. Because if they're on the defensive, like, blue team being on the defensive is a worse position than the red team being on, is a worse position than the red team being on the defensive is the best way I can put this.
Ooh.
And they're keep avoiding that scenario, but there's going to be a pulse, and the lingering hitbox is actually going to take out Apollo. Even though the pulse happened on the cocoon, the fact that the range actually makes the hitbox stagger a pulse quite a bit meant that he still got hit coming out of the cocoon anyways, which I thought that was really interesting. I don't know how calculated that was versus kind of convenient. You'd be taking the snare, there's going to be the Monarch Blessing, and there's not much the red team can do. What do they need to be doing differently right now? Like, they need to get their act together because they're losing the lead. They've been on the defense for quite a bit, Devmon. I can't see how they need to shift their playstyle right now.
They do, because honestly, when the map opens up like that, that's a lot more room that Dripple has to basically snare trap. It gives them a lot less control over the map because there's a lot more map to try to control. In situations like this, I think, honestly, the best thing that could be done is if they can get a good tongue into snare trap, or if they can get really good picks on that Genji. He's been holding up the team very well, so they need to go all head on. in, but oh, they might even try to do something sneaky down here in the bottom bush. Leon tries a tongue, misses a tongue. This is basically unable to hold Nikki away from the tower, even with the extra range. Backstep's gonna help him clear, and he's going to be able to push the toys on top. But yeah, at this moment, they need something to stagger up the blue team. They need to either silence and kill the Genji, or they need to just pull somebody into trap and basically assassinate them effectively. So they're going to have to maybe be a little bit more patient about how they go about things and try to maybe focus on one tower at a time, rather than just being so split up most of the time, which they seem to be.
Indeed, indeed. And we're going to see the tongue come out, and we're going to see the spike dive come out on Dave W, and he's going to be taken out. That's the frag that they needed. They managed to get down, even with the blessing, they managed to get enough damage in. You know, you have things like Fat Cat, you have things like the backstab and the tongue damage, and you have the max. Only one Chrome Filed stage left missing on the Vinny, but between the fact that they only sort of, I guess, sustained so far is one stage of Jarga Eggs and the Spiritual Cooking on Genji, that was enough to take him out, even with the Blessing and Spiritual Cooking considered. And that's going to be a turret in favor of the red team. Yeah, that's going to also even up the levels, more or less even up the solar, and it's going to really give the breathing room needed for the blue team to come back here. Or excuse me, the red team getting tongue-tied here. And you begin cleaning up these snares with his body while Nikki charges up on the droids there, gets the push ready. Bonnie going to be coming in here. He's not going to be able to find much. He's going to take an airstrike poke. I think if he might have gone the slightly more aggressive route of dropping through the drop pad there, he would have maybe dodged the airstrike. Depends on how if it was more of a reaction versus prediction coming from Nikki out there, but it doesn't matter because he's going to find a snare really well placed off the lane rotation. That's going to let them just completely intercept AW and pick up another frag. He's going to start a little bit of a chain feed here, and now Ubi is going to pick up the stealth orb. He does have the gun to, you know, really help on the defense. Going to burn that orb, means there's not going to be any double stealth shenanigans coming out from the red team for a bit, and they're just going to try and keep control. The airstrike's going to be a whiff, and the spike dive's going to come in. Nikki going to take a good chunk of damage. They're going to have to go ahead and consume all the stuff from the jungle here. And there's going to be a de-siege nuke that goes ahead and takes off another bar or so off the bottom turret. That bottom turret is slowly but surely going down. The match is relatively even right now. The team fights are even. No one's really wanting to commit. Two top turrets taking out. Just a little bit more health on the bottom turret than the for red than there is the blue, and we have a 3-kill lead, one level lead that's bound to dissipate on the red side, and they are actually managing to do a little bit of poke on that top turret to kind of match up on the little bit of poke the blue team has on the red team turret, and the momentum is kind of really shifted from it went from in favor of the red team to in favor of the blue team, and now it's really, really even. It's so hard to say how the next team fight's going to go down. It's the initiation wise, either Nikki goes in and lands all his damage using that stun pack to kind of really time it well, or it's a cocoon, or it's a tongue. Build wise, we see, you know, grenades, we see Tedris, we see auto attack damage and Starstorm statue, we see a max auto attack row on Ted. No airstrike damage yet. Cocoon just not getting built into. You see a stage of Jarga Eggs and BKM. And on Penny, we just see max auto attack. We see Greyman, we see Gun, we see the Cookie Monster Badge, which is probably one of the most cost-effective damage upgrades right now. It's a 32% damage upgrade essentially. For only 220 solar, 40% once you consider Greyman, and it stacks wonderfully with Starstorm as well, and just does a crap load of damage. There's gonna be a fight out the right here. There's not gonna be a nuke though, and there's gonna be Body Hunter just taken out, and just kind of bewildered on the kind of crazy chaos that happened there for a second. The nuke could have possibly taken out Nikki if he had found it there, but Nikki's instead alive and gonna be charging down this turret and, you know, melting it down quite a bit. That should be the bottom turret going down. Crazy amount of push coming out as a result of just one frag, and that is going to be very advantageous for the blue side. The blue team just gonna be punishing that clone in a 1v3 scenario. And yeah, what do you think the third upgrade is going to be for the blessing? Devon, is it going to be heal like we mentioned earlier?
I honestly think heal's probably the best choice in a lot of situations. Dave W's been puppying the blessing at very. Oh, well, there we go.
Exactly.
Alright, I don't even need to pull up. It is heal, and that's what I expected. And heal is probably one of the best synergistic upgrades with the blessing. Other options would have included, say, the shielding upgrades or even the movement speed upgrade, which would have been fantastic for gaining position. But that's not something they really needed. I think that having the extra Lobalka, especially sustain on Ted, who has no regen at the moment, is very beneficial. And in addition to that, the well, the blessings have been saving him quite a bit, to say the least. He's survived with just barely any HP in a lot of situations, and he's very, very appreciative of the W's Genji there. Snare Trap's going on. Nuke is going to miss. He pops it a little bit prematurely, and Body Hunter's actually going to go down. Blue team's taking a bit of a commanding lead now, even though they're down 1 kill. Having the extra push and being able to just melt towers and droids really put them in a position where they're able to, well, try to get to that core right away. Otherwise, Penny's starting to pick up some damage on the pulse, which makes sense, along with her auto attack damage. It's not bad. It's really good to finish up with the pulse after doing some auto attack damage. Soften them up and then finish them off with a nice little blow. On that, Vinny and Spike has finished off his smoke screen, and he's gotten size, heal, and weaken cloud. And like you said before in the previous match, this is not your grandma's weaken cloud. This is the weaken cloud just before it got nerfed and to 15%. This is the 25% weaken, which is significant for team fights, and that's something you should be capitalizing on in this situation.
Indeed, I completely agree here, and I think that it's that the Cloud is going to be able to still do a bunch of stuff. Basically, the thing is, if someone gets cocooned, he gets spiked up, and even if they don't get silenced out, that Cloud can make it significantly harder for the blue team to commit. The thing is, though, is that it's rarely, if ever, going to be affecting the pulse. Oh my gosh, it's going to be affecting Dave W. Who gets completely taken out, and just another nice tongue into the snare there. Just kind of really popped out of nowhere, just kind of a bit too overextended for trying to find cocoons for his team. And with that said, though, the Clown is, like, as a counter initiation for cocoon, it's not really going to be stopping the pulse or the airstrike too much. Like, because of the range, especially on pulse and airstrike, obviously, you know, Nikki and Ubi don't need to be inside the Cloud in order to hit those abilities. Pounce, yeah, sure. If he wants to go in for a shotgun, sure. Genji really doesn't need to auto attack. He's already done his ability. Hits almost cocoon in the first place. So overall, I don't think the Clown's going to be doing that much kind of initiation, but they're balling out and they're going in first. Then yeah, Clown's going to be phenomenal, and that's going to be helping a lot. We see clones coming out on Leon right now. We actually see blow up when we see you know, walking and health coming out here. Are we going to see a bunch of push coming out? Is that blow up actually going to be really annoying to the blue team? Or are they going to be able to find these you know, get rid of the clones without the blow up being a problem?
I think that the clones are actually going to contribute quite a lot to the fight, and although they're really fantastic pushing tools, one of the things that actually shouldn't be underestimated is the fact that blowing up clones do fairly good damage to Awesomenauts, and if you toss them in a team fight, they'll often get hit by the AoEs that are tossed around anyways, and that's basically guaranteed damage. And if they don't get hit by the AoEs, they're doing continual auto attack damage, which is racks up over time fairly significantly, so they're very aggressive and very good for adding a little bit of extra damage. Paul's going to dash in, Weaken Cloud, plus the heal cloud means that Ubi's going to get caught in a snare trap, and the nuke comes out and Body Hunter gets a kill on Ubi. Paul is looking a little bit low. Mr. Magic tongues the Genji. Genji's in a poor position, but once they finish the kill, actually is able to do so with the help with Nikki. So it's a 2 down for the red team, and 1 down for the blue team. A surprising turn of events, especially after that snare being so effective on Penny there. You'd think that the red team would have had the advantage there.
Indeed, it came really down to the wire there. Genji almost died after that tongue, but just actually managed to kind of, and they just help because of the spiritual cooking and just having that range on this auto attack. Even though he doesn't out DPS Leon, he is able to find more damage before the Leon could commit to finish him off, and that meant the Leon actually had to give that up, and Paulo was going to manage to fight the spike dive in, and they kind of, I really think that they really kind of, Dave W messed with Paulo said there by going left, and Paulo had to go back up to try and fight the spike dive angle, and that linger meant that the range auto attack came back and finished him off there. And if he had actually been, I think, above that bush instead of below, he might have been able to find that spike dive frag and, you know, been alive, and that would have been a 2-for-1 in favor of red rather than the blue team. That said, we're going to see all the teams get back together here, cleaning up their lanes, kind of a little bit of footsie nuts. There's going to be this very aggressive spike dive in. It's going to silence 2 of them, not the Penny, but Penny's not going to do anything anyways. There's going to be the Weaken Cloud, there's going to be the Monarch Blessing, there's going to be a Tank Snare, and no one really else going to be doing much. A blue team charging down, they have the momentum here because they have the abilities ready, and not much going to be happening. Blue team, red team going to be trying to get Leon and Durple into position so they can start doing their combo. There's going to be a whiff tongue though, just barely. Ubi just just kiting that. And now we're going to see blue team heavily controlling the jungle. There's going to be a whiff cocoon, and now manager going to go in, hits the tongue, but there's going to be the blessing, there's going to be the airstrike, and there's going to be the nuke, and the airstrike's actually going to hit. They're going to take down that bottom turret. There's going to be a spike dive, but now Apollo's going to be taking a lot of damage. He's going to have to fall back a bit. And blue team has base exposure. Their turrets are fairly healthy. They have a level advantage, even though they have a kill deficit. They even have a little bit of a solar lead as well. It's an uphill battle for the red team at this point. There's base exposure for the blue side. They have very clear team fight win conditions. They have a lot of damage. They have a lot of sustain. They have Monarch Blessing. They have the leads. They have the snowball. There's the same kill conditions are present here for red team. That's been there, finding the tongue, finding the spike dive, finding the grid traps, and that lets Dirtbull just get that crazy amount of nuke damage. But it's really getting easier said than done at this point. They're gonna have to really step up their game if they can manage to kind of suddenly storm in and take maybe the stealth orb or something. That is really something they have to do. I really think the stealth orb is something. The next spawn of it, and then I think it's in the next 30 seconds or so, is something that's gonna be really, really, really pivotal how the match is out. But Dirtbull's going to be getting caught out here, and Paulo's going to be coming in, and we're actually going to tongue him off, and we're going to see a team fight for the Blessing's going to come back, and there's going to be the cocoon right before the nuke can happen, and that's going to save the blue team's life, save Penny's life. Excellent cocoon out there from Dirtbull, because that turnaround was about to be absolutely, they would have it would have been something that it had gone horribly wrong. They would have lost the game right there, but it wasn't. Then that Ubi was going to die. The rest were going to get low. It was going to be enough for Leon to go in and for Paulo to follow along with Doug Pence to the next spike dive. And now it's just kind of a reset of momentums here. Both teams full health, more or less, full levels here, or even levels here, I mean to say. And the Solar is starting to pan out a little bit. We're actually starting to see Max build, I believe, coming out on Genji. He's picking up that other stage of Crimson there. He won't be getting another third utility upgrade because he did piggy bank. And does he even have any cocoon left? He does have cocoon left to build into. He's got 2 cocoon upgrades left there, but it's getting very down to the nitty gritty here. And won't be that much left. There's gonna be a spike dive. There's gonna be a pulse. There's gonna be the Monarch Blessing. Everyone's just gonna back up and be like, "Whoa! No one wants to take the team fight here. What's gonna have to happen for one of the teams to go, hey, I do want to take this team fight, even when it's relatively even like this? Maybe it might be this airstrike. Nope. Whiff. Whiff. That's not it. Devon, what are your thoughts?
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't think there's any situation where anybody wants to take abilities right now. And the reason for that is just because red team's got so much push power with clones and everything else going on. If they get a wipe, it's anybody's game, basically. So if blue team can manage to secure 1 or 2 kills, they can get push core and win. If red team gets a wipe, they will win right away. So at this point, everybody's just playing a little bit fussy nuts, trying to get the initiation off. I mean, you've seen the tongue try to land so many times. You've seen grid traps going everywhere, but they haven't found anything to connect. On the blue team, they've been landing airstrikes, but they haven't been able to upbeat the sustain that the red team's had. However, that might change here as we have initiation going off. We have the Weakened Cloud going to hold down Ruby, unable to really finish off Vinny as he runs away. Body Hunter is going to go down to all that damage, leaving the red team in a poor position. One of their big bulky defenders is unable to do so, and it looks like they're going to go directly for the core. They're tired of fighting this team comp. They're tired of them stalling out long enough. They want the damage in core. Paulo's going to take a bit of damage. He's the Weakened Cloud with the heal cloud to get a bit of healing, but it has a cap, and so does his life. It's going to end right there as they put an end to it. And Dave W's looking a little bit low. Heal Blessing is going to sustain the team. Very good, and of course, at half health. Leon has to defend by himself, but he sees his explosion clone. He can't really do much else to the core, and it's going to go down.
Indeed. Well, that was an awesome match. Incredibly nitty-gritty. Both teams were often in bad situations. Only one more kill on the blue team than the red team. Even levels like getting really close to max builds, but you actually don't really see that often competitive. Usually the game ends before that, and that was and just a very interesting match. And it was very back and forth, and it was the sort of thing that, for example, I really think that clutch cocoon kit from Dave W on the Dirtbull there was like one of the things that just kept the red team from coming back. And it was like oh man, what if he hadn't had that? What if the nuke had procced before that happened and triggered? But yeah, they had a big get out moment as soon as that happened. And some of the some people might not think, oh, tongue in the grid trap, that's kind of simple. Some of the tongues that they found, it's a very easy to read setup. It's totally you're done once it's successfully done, but it's kind of easy to tell, oh, they're just, going to try and tongue me into there, so don't be there, And But Red Team managed to find some really nice ones. There was like times where like Body Hunter would lay the grid trap as the tongue happened, and so it was a lot harder to read. But that takes an incredible amount of synergy, but the red team would manage to make that happen. And that's something that, like, I have to say bravo to. That's very difficult to pull off. That's something that you don't just have to be... You can't only just be good in order to pull that off. You can't just have, like, good players on your team. Like, you have to have synergy, you have to have communication, you have to have teamwork. And they managed to find that, and it was just very significant. Devon, what are some of the things that you think the red team else, besides that, the clear one of that, get that nuke before that one cocoon happened, what else could red team have done differently in order to have won this?
Honestly, I think that Durple was really helpful with the damage and the way he did. The snare traps are super fantastic. The one thing that they put a little bit too much effort into was getting the siege up right ahead before the fight. One of the things about Durple is that when he sieged up, he's very immobile. In fact, he can only go down from there. So Cocoon comes in, and it's incredibly easy to land on him, which means if he wants to set up a nuke, like you said before, Cocoon stops the nuke and basically shifts around the whole team fight, and Durple's big surprise, his big payoff is gone in a lot of cases. And that really secured the victory, I think, for the to the blue team there. They were able to play around with Durple enough as soon as they opened up the map a little bit more, and Durple just didn't have as much control as he needed. And given the Cocoon, he couldn't really do anything about the Genji jumping on his face.
Indeed, and it was. I think that Durple versus Ted matchup is it's one of the ones where, like, on paper you're like, oh Ted, but it was something like Body Hunter could just like kind of go into Ted, take a little bit of damage, and just kind of put the snare in his face and then go for it.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, Ted's got offensive pressure with like Xipang and whatnot, but given Durple's CC immunity when he's up in siege, he can pressure Ted right back. He's got fairly impressive damage, and it's actually a little bit more even than I think a lot of people give it credit for. It comes down to how well do you play in this situation, and what really works.
Indeed. With that said, we're going to get into our next match, though. Round 2 is going to take place on Sirona, and a friendly little reminder to everyone, type who you think is going to win into the match, and you have until the gameplay or the match begins to get your guesses in. Just a very informal red or blue. If you guess correctly, you're going to be eligible for a giveaway after the match. But looking at the draft, though, it's Sirona, it's Xipang Disciples versus Cute Men once again. We're going to see a band of X, Jimmy that looks 5,000, and, excuse me, 3,000. Is it 3,000 or 5,000? I can't even tell. It's 3,000.
5,000.
5,000, okay. I wasn't sure. I was like, I suddenly just had a brain fart there. And they're going to be picking up Vinny, Froggy G, and Sentry, a much more mobile comp than they had last game. Cute Men banned out Leon the Chameleon and Daddy Deadlift, and picking up Genji once again, Penny once again, and they're just exchanging out that Ted for Ksenia. Big understandable, a bit more of a counter pick here. You wouldn't really want Ted, I don't think, versus this. Devon, how are you feeling about these comps, sir?
Honestly, Ksenia is actually a really good choice. I think that the silence that she has inherently is really good at stopping all of that there, and I think that's been kind of the theme of, well, not just this like whole day of matches, but even competitive in general. Being able to disable your opponents with like a silence prevents them from doing a whole bunch of different actions, and in this case it might be a life-saving dash, it might be a kill securing nuke. There's a lot of things you can do, and there's a lot of things you can't do while you're silenced. And it comes up to like a lot of the picks here. I mean, you've got Penny with the silence, you've got Ksenia with the silence, Vinny with the silence, Sentry with the silence. That's 4 knots of the 6 knots that have silences, and the ones that don't, you've got Cocoon, which is the other big CC in the game, and Frog's got stun. And that's honestly a really great way to set up kills, make people feel really vulnerable in a lot of situations. Other than that, given the fact that it's on Sirona, I really like the idea of having Vinny in Sirona because he's such a good flyer and allows him to have the mobility around the map. Frog's got good mobility, and Sentry has his one teleport beacon, which you can use, maybe not the teleburst in this case, but you can use the mid advantage and just kind of keep an eye on the bush there, so you can have an eye of what's in that bush at all times, and that's the only stealth area that's ever going to matter inside Sirona.
Indeed. Well, with that said, I think the Sentry might be a little bit of a red herring. It's gonna be really easy to Monarch Blessing the black hole targets. If they find the frags off it, great. But I would kind of be interested to see if like the black hole is to get them to use the Monarch Blessing, and then like the Vinny and Frog use their dive combo outside of that, because they really don't need that much of a setup. They get the stun anyways, and they're very fast, very mobile, and you know, so is the blue team, of course, but especially that Penny and Ksenia on Sirona. But they can still kind of go in. They don't really need black hole to get those frags going. I'd be very interested to see Bounty Hunter using a play style where his kind of role is to just get the blue team to use cooldowns and to maybe try and use the pounce to get a black hole and try and Future Girl that and use the blessing on that, and Benny and Frog just kind of go for the frags without that. Well, of course, blue team is smart players, so they're gonna catch on to that. One thing that I think is really underrated versus Sentry for Ksenia is to pick up the duration on roll. If you combine that with the Future Girl, you can get out of the black hole every single time, even without BKM, and just like tank a lot of damage. And it's like enough window of time, like it's about a second or so, you can tank. You're talking about the squishy Ksenia. Taking it can the splash, the dive, the black hole, and being okay. And I think that's something that could be really well. And I think she also combined that maybe with she might not even need silence here. Silence would be good for her, don't get me wrong, but if she combined that with maybe Cal drops, that could be something that they could just really play really well with. I'd be very interested to see if they went that route. But that said, are you ready to get into this match, my friend?
I am. Now I'm really excited to see like a Caltrops range build, because that would be really cool to see. Not sure if it will happen, but we'll have to get to it. Would you like me to do a countdown then in that case?
Let's do it, my friend. I'm at the 12-second mark.
Cool. So 3, 2, 1, and go.
And we're off on the red side of things. You have Baldy Hunter playing the Sentry, and you have Paulo playing the Vinny, and you have Mr. Manager playing Froggy G. On the blue side of things, you have Nikki bouncing Pulsing right out of the gate because he is anybody getting into Martyr Blessing. That's gonna barely save him from the black hole. I think he would have died anyways, but they might not. They might decide to follow up if not for that. And you have Dave W playing Genji. Going in, seeing if he can find a cocoon. I can barely even finish this. And Ubi playing the Keznia, who is chilling, gonna go ahead and farm a little bit of creeps. You have Night Vision, Spy Watch, Silence, Ninja Worm, Scissors Damage, range in, think of Prayer Beads on Genji. And you have Zuri Mechanic, and that range in Prayer Beads is gonna be picking up the first blood onto Paulo. We're just a minute in. Bounty Hunter less than half. He's got full black hole though. I don't think he's gonna find it. Mr. Manager just doing Froggy G things, harassing them, trying to create space. No push is gonna be found out yet. But yeah, Bounty Hunter not really sure what to do with this black hole. Just he's not that mobile when he doesn't have access to the charge up, because that's where his speed and momentum really comes from when he's at 0. With his, with no acceleration already. And he's just gonna be chilling there. I think the way he needs to find these frags, he does manage to find that black hole. Almost happens to walk into him and lands it more or less. But I would like to see Bounty Hunter try and keep his beacons mid, and he can charge into mid with a black hole, get out, and then once he has his he can teleport again, he can then beacon back in. Especially with Invis Beacon, it could be a very interesting back and forth gameplay for him to try and find black holes. In the meantime, Froggy G and Paulo are just kind of going around. They're kind of getting chipped down. I think he's got to be done. There's no way. Yeah, he's done. Yeah. He's done. I think as long as they avoid Ubi, more or less, as far as getting chased down by him, I would like to see Vinny and Frog kind of really aggressive, always trying to use their abilities more or less as soon as they're off cooldown, because they do have silences, they do have stuns and invulnerability frames to make that work, and they are faster than the blue team, and they do have, especially Vinny, better aerial control. Frog's got better jump height. And I would like to see them, just go in and then just run out. And I think if they're always stalling, kind of waiting for the blue team to go first, it's not going to go in their favor. Because the damages that they're getting, the scissors out, the auto attack combos, and the pulses, and that's kind of the beginning of the damage flow. And that's not going to be good for the red team. But if, they're making Ksenia and Penny do these things when they're already low, then that's going to be in favor of them. So I think the red team's kind of win condition here in general dominance is to try and be continuously aggressive. Kind of like that. Nikki getting out just the bar, and but Genji Genji hit fall notch, chasing everybody down. Kind of blue team was in that situation last game where they had to be aggressive because they were in a bad situation if they weren't. And I think it's going to be the same thing for the red team here, where the question is, will they actually be aggressive? And I want to point out that Beacon already just sitting there in mid.
Yeah, no, I completely agree there, and the reason why is just because Sentry is really good at playing passive, but Froggy and Vinny and Spike really require active teammates. They need somebody to sit up and get some stuff going to or take advantage of the damage. Otherwise, they need the blue team to be split up, and I don't think that's happening this match. Especially right there where you've got, Ubi and Penny just coming in, just doing the pulse damage and knives. Just a lot of damage coming out. Red team needs to stick together constantly. They need to be aggressive, and they need to land the black holes, and then follow up with splash dash, and then follow up with the silence dives. Silence dives being particularly nice, actually, just because it keeps people inside the black hole as they're unable to use their ability to escape. So that's really how it did. But that's in this situation. The Monarch Blessing comes out and saves Ubi. You see Nikki getting incredibly aggressive in a bad situation. Spike Dive combined with Photon Mines is going to finish off him and leave the red team at a 1-to-1 trade in that situation. Their first kill of the game, which leads to probably a little bit more happy than they'd normally be if it was just the one death. Otherwise, they have to be very careful, and I think Sentry in this case might want to focus on a little bit more auto attack in this game. Nice thing about black holes that you can take damage and receive it as much as you like, but having more pressure by having a more active and more powerful auto attack might give them what they need. Other pickups might include Drive Over Skulls combined with the counterintelligence cross to have the mines turn into missiles at home after they explode.
Definitely. And we see the slow cubes getting picked out also on the frog, and I think that's going to be really useful, and that's going to let him kind of do that those cheeky dashes in that I was talking about more as soon as they're off cooldown, because it makes it really harder for the blue team to chase down. I think that was the major risk of it, but now they're doing it they're doing it right now. Like the black hole was the last there, and they managed to find out Ubi without the Sentry ever doing a tick of damage to him. But Bounty Hunter might be going down there. There's going to be the pulse, and he gets pounced off that jump. That was a very nice frag by Nikki coming out there, and now we're going to see nice pulse coming out. Excuse me, pounce. That was going to knock him back. Very well timed. Really good use of that hitbox, and the hitbox of Nikki, of Pounce, is a little bit bigger than the Pounce itself, and so a lot of people think, hey, if you want to knock them in a certain direction, you have to be on the opposite side. You can more or less face bounce them if you time it right and angle it right while still taking them on. You have to be a little bit above them to make it happen. Manager gonna be do a nice backdash there. Nikki trying to think, hey, maybe I'll find a frag if he takes too long, but nope, and he's just gonna get slow. He's gonna be pulsing on the droids. In the meantime, Bounty Hunter gonna be clearing up. He's got the abilities ready for if the situation arises that he needs to be using them. There's gonna be a pulse of the jump pod there. And yeah, kind of lots of footsie nuts, a little bit more aggressive, except now when they're going to be going in, Manager just going to go in, walk into a kill, and Nikki, man, go in, try and splash dash them. Doesn't really find it, going to take a lot of scissor damage, and that's going to bring it 3 to 5 kills in favor of the blue team. But slowly, red team's coming back. They're just a little bit more, or for the levels to be even out. They're farming the warm. They got mid. There's going to be a lot of damage from that silence there, and you'd be just kind of walking in. Bounty Hunter just kind of sitting still far too long, and almost paid his life for it. If for whatever reason Dave had died instead of Penny would have 100% have been able to pick up a frag there. So they need to watch out for that. There's going to be a max black hole charge out there, though. Manager and Benny just kind of staying behind Bounty Hunter, seeing if he lands it. I think they need to be going ahead so that I think the way Bounty Hunter lands these black holes, to kind of keep on going in really in depth on the character interactions here, is for Benny and Paulo to already be in a team fight where what do you call it? The blue team is committing, and then he uses black hole as counter initiation. So he kind of uses black hole, both stages of it, as 2 different counter initiations, and keeps on with the ebb and flow with the waves of the team fights, and that's how he can get them out. Well, what do you think? Am I kind of theory crafting this too hard, or is that how he should be landing the black holes?
I mean, it depends on how the blue team wants to react, really. In this situation, we see how the blue team is doing things. Black Hole's been a little bit better. Oh, never mind. Kills going to go off from Dave W. with Frog's splash dash. Enough damage to burst him down. Thanks to the fact that while Bounty Hunter's playing a little bit more aggressive to Black Holes, Paul's looking a little bit in a poor position. He's going to get out there. He's a little bit low HP, but he's fine. But as you were saying before, Bounty Hunter, I think, is a key component of the team. I mean, he's 1/3 of the team anyways. But in terms of his black hole sign and the CC they can provide, I think the idea of counter initiation while having Frog and Bean Spike, just having them all get really aggressive, that's the way they need to do. That's the way they need to pressure the enemy team. Otherwise, if you give Ksenia a lot of free reign when she wants to toss her sisters, she's going to, and she's going to have a great time. The same thing with Penny. Penny can easily back off if the red team's unable to really get aggressive and punish for just kind of getting in there. So Black Hole's going to be popped to the counter initiation. Lots of damage going out. Bounty Hunter's a little bit low, looking to run away from Scissors. Unable to do so as Penny finishes off with Claw. We have Frog running away, and everybody's just going to back off again. Blue team's going to secure another kill and play on the red team by just surviving with the Monarch Blessing.
Definitely, definitely. And there's going to be some damage coming on the Frog there. UB going to be going in. Just not really finding anything. The red team kind of staying behind the turret while they wait for Body Hunter to get back in lane. He's going to be half health. They're going to see kind of a residual Martyr Blessing here. Not really do anything. Nikki might be getting caught out. He's going to be taking a lot of damage. 51 HP, but Follow manages to find him. Very well done. And takes him out. That's going to be a kill, well, more or less in a bad situation for the red team. So that's really significant. Now Dave W is one bar. He's going to have to teleport home. They're going to get these droids cleaned up and pushed down the lanes. And we see, Bud Enter has a minimum black hole already, but minimum black hole is a scary black hole. And it's going to completely, there it is. Oh, he's not going to find the future goal in time, or is he? Oh my gosh, one auto attack. They managed to find the stun right before he wanted to roll, I think. And that almost just completely screwed him. And they just had a little bit more damage. That was so close. You know, they have good damage upgrades too. You know, you got Starstorm statue, you got Ninja Worms, you got a stage of Hydro Splash, and you know, it's just really, that was more or less unfortunate. That was spiritual cooking in effect there when you think about it.
I would completely agree. Honestly, having spiritual cooking is a I don't think there's any other better upgrade. Maybe even in the game than spiritual cooking, because spiritual cooking not only is it a health buff for yourself, but it's a health buff for the entire team, which in most situations, except that one, would allow for more survivability. And for Ksenia, the one that's squishiest characters in the game, having that extra bit of HP is such a big difference. It's honestly, like, increases her health threshold and allows her to take such a lot of damage, and combine that with the blessing to even increase that amount of damage and the amount of punishment that she can take. And given the fact that she's already incredible for doing damage, again, she's the perfect support in that way. Although, she's going to get a little bit aggressive, but Red Team's been really able to capitalize on their aggressiveness. So when Blue Team has lost one member, they have been able to make a little bit of push. You can see that in the tower damage right now. Blue top, it's pretty fine. There's a little bit of chip on it. The Red's looking a little bit more worse for wear. But blue bottom, red bottom, those are the ones that are probably going to go down first. Black hole goes out, really good land. Dave W is actually going to be tornadoed into death. It was a really good hit on Frog's part. A really good follow-up to the black hole. We have the teleport just to juke, and we've got another black hole ready, looking to pop it off, get into position, and he does so. Ubi's going to try to get out of there, is unable to do so. 700 damage lands on the Ksenia, does a fantastic chunk of her health, but is unable to keep her from grabbing the health kit, coming right back into lane. You're going to have to be very careful, because Ksenia is right able to do whatever she wants, and she's ready for everything. Good thing to note is that Ksenia has Virtual Girl, which gives her invincibility frames on her dash, so as she dashes at the right time as the other people dash, she'll avoid the damage and allows her to take a lot more punishment and brawl with the best.
Definitely. And they're coming to a point where they're getting more and more damage. Like you have Bombcat coming out in Ksenia, and that's just an insane amount of damage, especially to the Sentry here. There's gonna be Dave W taking a lot of damage. He's barely getting out of this Monarch Blessing, just barely keeping him alive. He's stopped getting out like that because, you know, even after he maxes Blessing, like, you know, eventually there's gonna be Boombox, for example. On that, there's going to be, you know, another stage of Chrome File on the Vinny, and things like Yakuza and Lone Shark on the auto attack of Vinny. Like, you can't just keep doing that. Eventually, there's going to be Disguised Mustache, and he's not, even with max Blessing and as much counter initiation as teammates can do, he's going to be just getting fragged like that. He needs to stop doing that, and that's something he's really got to watch out for. He's going to go down to half health again. He's trying to fulfill his team more. He's trying to find cocoons, set up, do some positive things, but you know, it's really making me worried here. Like, and now the red team is really keeping control of that mid. There's going to be a efficient black hole. Lots of things getting missed out right here. And now Body Hunter is going to be taking a lot of damage as a punishment. You know, blue team going to go in, but, you know, Nikki was a little bit behind. He couldn't find his pounce or his pulse on the Body Hunter. So, he's going to have to do it on the other guys instead, but he's not going to be able to get a frag out of it. Still, and we're going to see a little bit of momentum. We're going to see people on both teams going back to heal up at the turret. And, that is going to be just kind of keeping it even. Now I think it's kind of interesting. It's 13 minutes in on Sorona, and we don't see either bottom turret destroyed yet. We see them close. We see them really close to dying, as well as the top turret for the red team. But I mean, 13 minutes in on any map, especially Sorona, where the bottom turrets are notoriously weak, is actually very interesting in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'd agree there. Like I said before, in the other Serona match we had before, and the other match we had before for Serona, we had one match in Serona end in less than 13 minutes, and we had one that was longer than 13 minutes, and where the towers are still up at like the 14-minute mark. I think it's going to be more like the second game, where the teams have been playing very defensively and be able to protect their team towers as much as possible. Lots of damage going on Nikki in that situation. Black Hole is going to be denied thanks to Cocoon. And the red team's looking to probably take the bottom pretty soon. You see Frog actually, instead of pushing the worm to farm, or pushing the button to farm the solar and farm the XP of the worm, he's actually looking to have the droids passively pushed right now. And while they're team fighting right now, the bottom turret's actually probably going to go down. Frog's going back off, Black Hole's being popped, and red team's looking not so healthy for the team fight, but that little bit of chip on the bottom tower means that is in sneeze distance. Vinny and Spike could dash that, and it wouldn't be hard. They could just seize the tower down from existence. And that might be what happens there. But for now, Black Hole comes out, DFW takes a little bit. Black Hole is not going to be the one-all be-all, and the blue team's actually just going to be able to back off from that. The Monarch Blessings have actually been, I think, on point. I don't think I've seen as many good Monarch Blessings from any other Genji so far than Dave W's. He's been able to save himself and other teammates pretty effectively, actually.
Definitely. It's really starting to take on. Like, rather than, like, kind of trying to stay out of danger, he's actually starting to form into a tank role, kind of showing me that he was up to something else entirely. And, I mean, he's kind of taking the abilities for his team at the moment so that Cassini and Penny have more breathing room. That's why we're seeing a nice full black hole. It takes when he has that microfilm, like, he can get that full black hole and still have so much health. And it's actually really interesting. I mean, we are talking a 20% shield here, you know, getting doubled, and that's really significant. 40% is nothing to sneeze at, no matter what the situation is. Ubi managed to find some good pokes in. He's getting really fast. I think Boots might be a good pickup for him. He wouldn't have to give up Wraithstone or Regen in exchange. But I think if he can find speed, and I think this might even be a match for for Skeleton Mullet. That's the speed up he gets anytime there's a kill, a turret destruction. I don't think turrets are applied, but anytime a droid is destroyed, a creep is destroyed, or he gets a kill, it's something that he gets a little speed boost off of. And I think that would be pretty good here.
I believe they actually changed that, so it now applies to any form of kill. So you get that speed on anything, including, well, especially to note droid kills, which are really effective. If you can toss a random scissor and get a droid kill, you are in good business, except for Ubi, who's going to be able to back off in that situation. I thought he was going to get Black Hole there with the aggressive Black Holes, but not so much in this case. Looks like he's going to try to pop in the Genji. They want that Genji dead. Of all the characters, Genji's probably the best defender they have in this scenario. His auto attack, just like the Pennies, is maxed, but his pierces readily and can hit them very hard.
Definitely. And Cassini is going to be getting lots of utilities. Like, she's already got most of her core damage upgrades. You know, she's got the scissors damage to the bump cat, and she'll probably be getting in, you know, either the Frog Afro or you know, her flat enemy knots damage only upgrade. And you know, those are a lot of numbers. I don't think she'll stack those though. That I'm really betting my money here that she's going to get some sort of utility, whether it might be like Furry Blowout, for example, or no, right there. That's going to have to wait a second as, you know, the entirety of the red team just goes in on that turret and picks up DW once again. And but Ubi going to be coming back, picking up Paulo. Nice assassination. Now Body Hunter is kind of trapped out here. There's going to be a nice pounce, but they're taking lots of damage. Now Frog's ready to go back in, but he's a little bit behind. I don't think we've mentioned yet that RB has been picked up by Frog here, which that reflects the cocoons, reflects the Genji auto attacks, reflects the gun pinning, and reflects the scissors. Do you think will he find the scenario where he just reflects a crap load of the blue team, or is that kind of, you know, too good to be true?
I think he's looking less for reflecting a lot of things and looking for reflecting specific things. And by that, I completely mean that he wants to reflect Genji Cocoon. If he can get aggressive there, force Genji to pop the Cocoon at a close range or hold on to it where his team basically initiates for the silence, I think he can really force down the Genji's hand. And if Cocoon hits Genji in the meantime, that's an easy black hole. That's easy damage. So our base is a really good counter to Genji in that sense if you can play aggressively enough with Frog. And again, like we said before, play aggressively with the red team. That's exactly what they want to do. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out in that case, just because Black Hole's a little bit far to the left. But yeah, it's still damage. You know, the team's going to take the health kit, and they're looking like they've got a little bit more map dominance at the second. But actually, they're down one kill, and they might be even. Oh no, Nope. They looking for the Apollo kill, but unable to get it. Ubi's got to back off, and with the blessing, they're still in good position. We're seeing a little bit of footsies right now. I'd be curious to see what happens next. Of course, Ksenia's got some lifesteal picked up, and more or less, they're looking towards some decent builds. Frogs decided to go for ranged on auto attack and go for the turbo takes for movement speed on his tornado move, as well as his boombox for extra damage. So he wants to go in there with his boombox, and he wants to do some damage.
Indeed, indeed. And no, we're gonna see a Cucumber manager there. I don't know if they're gonna take it, and then they're just gonna chill. One thing, both games, like Genji has kind of delayed on his build wise. As he gets started really late. Oh, there's gonna be the blessing there. That's gonna have to wait a second. There's gonna be the Mono blessing. It's gonna keep him the man out. Bounty Hunter's in a really bad situation. There's no way he survives this. And now Paulo's gonna have to spike dive out. Frog is in a really bad situation. He's having to run right, which is not the direction he wants to run. And he's gonna go for the very clear. He needs to go now. He does. That's it. He knew he didn't have enough range of the splash, but he knew he had to splash soon because the abilities were coming out from Nikki regardless. Has to be a 2 for nothing in favor of his team. I don't know what he should have done differently, but when he made the U-turn on the bounce pads, it was really predictable. And I think manager kind of knew it was predictable. Maybe if he hard committed to the right, it could have gone bad. Maybe if he had gone bottom lane, I think, and danced around, maybe delayed his death. Just that time bot could have been helpful, but instead, blue team is once again going to get base exposure, and despite the kills still being very close, the levels being even, the items actually manager having more of his upgrades than anybody else in this game, and more or less kind of even. A little bit general overhead is in favor of the blue team, but like despite the even game, the stats wise, the turrets are all taken out on the red team, and the blue team is not even, still has more than half their health in their top front, and that that's significant. There's a lot more work that needs to be done on the red team than on the blue team to take the win here. And even though it's been an otherwise even match, and they have to be careful because they can't afford any more mistakes. And the blue team knows this. They're kind of going in, just forcing fights. There's going to be a NATO and dash there. Nicky going to go health, but he's got a blessing. He doesn't really care. It was actually Braided Tentacles, the lifesteal, that we saw Kezia ended up deciding to go with. Of course, still doesn't really have to get damage. I don't even know if we're going to get to a point where he's going to need to pick up the damage. But regardless, we're going to see some intense footsie nuts here. We're going to see it come out. There's going to be the pulse. There's going to be the very late dash. Manager had found that dash on Nikki. That was 100% a frag, but he was too shy, basically. And now Bounty Hunter's probably going to be going down here. He has no escape for Ksenia. Ksenia was a really nice pick versus Sentry. I think people underrate how much of a hard counter that can actually be, especially in that team fight cleanup. But Manager's going to go in. He's going to manage to find the NATO off Nikki. It was a very clean one, but he's going to get taken out by Ubi in exchange. And now Paulo's left to defend 1v2 versus 2 of his counters, more or less, and it's just not a good situation for him to be in. He's going to get slightly questionable. He's going to manage to spike dive out, though, and he's going to pick up some health, and yeah, it's over. He knows it's over. There's nothing he can do. That's going to be your game, and now, well, that's going to be Nikki, Dave W, and Ubi advancing on as Coop Men take up the second win here. What are your thoughts, Devon?
Honestly, I think Red Team was trying to come back, but key things to keep in mind, because Senya, like you said, is such a hard counter to Sentry, and I actually think with Slow Scissors, she does incredibly well against Frog and Vinny as well. Being able to hold people in position for extra scissors, or even extra punishment like that, is super good, and there's not really much anything that Red Team could have done about it. I mean, at most, if you really wanted to push the envelope. Vinny with CC and Nitty and getting incredibly aggressive, but that's even stretching it right there. Other than that, I think that Red Team just need to coordinate the burst a little bit harder and maybe focus down Penny or Genji a little bit harder than they did. Because Penny was barely getting out of different situations, and I think that can also be attributed to Genji's late game. Spiritual Cooking, combined with the healing, and if there's anything with the blessing, is actually fairly significant, and Genji's late game is amazing. Actually, it's even astounding that Spiritual Cooking is still in the game, given how powerful it is and what difference it makes for so many different characters, including squishies like Ayla, Frog, and even Ksenia.
And definitely, I completely agree. There's going to be a black hole there, and there's going to be a nice dash NATO, and oh, I don't. You want to know how much I have them? I'm just like starting to automatically recast the kill cam reel.
Yeah. It's happened though, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. That was just kind of cheesy. Well, anyways, they definitely played well, and I think they've really tried to make their comp work, but a little bit more finesse in the blue team. You know, Genji is just like some of those things, like yeah, you can counter pick it, but he's such a headache to deal with, and you're just like, golly, so many times there's that blessing. It really just makes sense to ban him more than anything else. And you know, looking at the ban of the red team, you know, it was Ix. Personally, I would have much rather faced an Ix as Frog and Vinny than I would Genji, you know what I mean? Like, it's just
I could agree there.
Like, they both are counter sticks, honestly. But, like, just screw Monarch Blessing. It's such a pain in the butt to deal with.
It's super good, and you know what? Spiritual Cookie enables so many different plays and so much more aggressive actions, especially well, we've seen with Senya, we've seen with Coco, we've seen with pretty much anyone actually, and it's it's well worth it on its own to have the extra HP on your squishy knots to secure kills and have them focus on damage. It's like being able to say, hey, you know what, you can get all the damage you want that we need, and is pretty much the most practical thing to get in the game, and I'm going to make you bulky so you don't have to worry about dying at the same time.
Nah, I definitely agree there. Anyways, guys, we're going to take a short break. This one will be about 6 to 7 minutes, and we're going to be back with our final final set of the day. It's